roaches and shit! Ah! God motherfucking damn it! Frequisha's murderous gaze was laser focused onto 5 black brownish roaches, all ranging in sizes. Ugh! And the bitch ain't got time for this shit today. I'm hungry, and the bitch ain't to get her pussy ate. The agitated Section 8 stag continued to nag. The biggest roach, Daddy Roach Sr., embarked on a dangerous journey to lead his family to a mecca of stale food. His wings lightly flapped. He used his long, wise antennas to lead his loyal wife of 32 days, their 2 well-trained teenage sons, and their precious baby daughter toward the distant smell of decaying Domino's, pepperoni, and sausage pizza crust hiding away in a dark corner of Frequisha's messy apartment living room. Every 3rd Friday of the month when them food stamps hit her EBT card, Frequisha usually treated her 3 kids to greasy pizza, saucy buffalo wings, and Cinesticks. The pizza fiesta was sort of like a food stamp renewal day of celebration. Truth be told, though, the pizza was also a way to get the motherfucking kids temporarily off her flabby, tatted back. Frequisha hated to have to spend her weekends watching her badass kids, especially when she needed to get ate out and dicked down by some local Chirac savage. Only God knows why she was so annoyed watching them. Ain't like the bitch had a job where her weekends were invaluable, deserving precious relief from a hard week of work. Every day was a fucking weekend for this hoe. Anyways, this particular crust Daddy Roach Senior scented had been nestled away for weeks, shit, possibly months, out of the purview of other vermin living in the grimy apartment. Go ahead and grab your copy of This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib by the one and only me, international best-selling author Quan Mills.
Hello, welcome back to my channel where I talk about whatever I want. And I just finished reading This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib by international bestselling author Quan Mills. Like, I just finished it, like maybe 2 hours ago. I had to let it sit and stew and simmer because there is a lot here. It was definitely not the type of book I was expecting. I think it was a very pleasant surprise, and so this is my initial thoughts of it, unfiltered, no script, spoilers galore. So if you want to read the book, I advise you read it before this video, or if you just want like a synopsis, I will give you a synopsis, and if it sounds interesting to you, I would read it, because I'm gonna go over the general plot and everything, but I highly advise reading it, even if you're spoiled on it and you know what happens. It is such a funny book. But it's not just funny. I feel like he really succeeds in kind of making a commentary on just urban life and that type of like ghetto mentality, and also preface this, okay, although I have like a little cute little avatar here and I'm a little blue person, I am black. Okay, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice or not, but just in case you can't, I would like to clarify that I'm a black person that grew up in the hood. And although I did not get any of that type of like, I don't know, that type of influence on myself, a lot of the people that he's talking about in the book, I have met, I know. And so the type of depiction is so accurate, it's almost scary. This is a black book. This book is hella black. This book is blacker than a fire alarm with low batteries. Okay. That's how black this book is. And it's kind of jarring too, like going through life and hearing like AAVE, for example, being taken and butchered and made into slang for the kids to use on TikTok, you know, like, yeah, and cooked, oh, let her cook, she cooked, da, da, da. You know, it like to the point where it becomes something trendy, and then, or like a meme. And of course, if something becomes trendy, if something becomes a meme, then it dies and is no longer cool, and it leaves the lexicon. But the people that are still using it, that created those phrases and terms and everything, you know, it's like, oh, why are you still using this thing? Because that's just AAVE, like, and so it's so jarring to go from hearing that type of lingo in social media being butchered, not being used correctly, to reading this book that is just, it's just AAVE. Not all of it, obviously. I mean, there's definitely, like, you know, like he uses it when necessary. Sometimes he uses it like during, when he's describing something, because it's like he's putting his own input of what is happening, which I think that's really funny, that he himself, as the author, you can kind of see his thought process as he was writing this book. Like, can you believe this whole, like, it's like, I'm not even making that up. That's like literally word for word sometimes that he says in the book as he's describing things that the main character Frequisha is doing. So seeing AAVE used so prominently and used properly, for lack of a better term, I don't know, it was just kind of a refreshing thing to see and to read, because I mean, I grew up around AAVE, and although I don't use it super often in my day-to-day life, because I mean, I live in like a predominantly white area and I'm surrounded by white people all the time, and they're gonna be like, what the hell are you talking about? I only really use it when I'm at home with my family and or talking to them on the phone or something. But anyway, that's besides the point. So kind of getting into like the overall structure, like it is so, the book is so funny. It is so funny and entertaining because of his super like unnecessarily accurate descriptions of things. Like, he will go on to describe, okay, he's describing like the main character, or one of the main, there's lots of characters in the book, and I'm going to go over a lot of them. But we get introduced to Frequisha, all right? I can't say her name. Frequisha, or is it Frequisha? I don't know. I've always called her Frequisha, and it's so funny because in the book, one of the ladies say, Frequisha, her mom must have hated her for giving her that ratchet ass name. Which is like super self-aware, because the name is awful. But hey, Frequisha also refers to herself as Keisha, or Big Boss Keisha, or whatever. So I might just call her Keisha for simplicity's sake, as opposed to Frequisha. I'll go back and forth. Anyway, so you're introduced to her and her appearance and everything, and just some of the details, like even from the jump where he's describing the scene from the Roaches perspective. And he does this often in the book whenever we are at Frequisha's apartment or her mom's apartment, that he describes things from the Roaches' point of view. So the book starts off, and I'll put a little clip here, but you have Daddy Roach Sr. with his wife of 32 days and their 2 teenage Roach sons and their little Roach daughter on a quest to find the crusty Domino's pizza mecca. You know, he doesn't shy away from using like brand names, and like just, he doesn't say, oh, the pizza place. No, he's naming things. He says Domino's Pizza, Jimmy John's Subs, Walmart, Five Below, Dollar Tree. Oh my God, what's the name of that store in Chicago? It's like the real popular like corn shop. I can't even think of it. But I just think that's so funny. So we see Frequisha, and it's like, oh yeah, she got her tank top on that she got from the discount rack at Ross, along with her $2.99 flip-flops that she got from Five Below. It's like, it's like, why are you that specific? But it's so funny. I love the specificity. Oh my God, I can't even say the word. Whatever, the specificness of the descriptions of the character. It's so funny. And one thing I was a bit worried about, because there is kind of is it a foreword? I don't know. There's like you can hear me like rough on the pages of the book. Yeah, there's a note at the beginning of the book that talks about how he does not mean to like stereotype or anything, especially black women participate in misogynoir, if I can say that word correctly, which is like the racist and negative depictions of black women that have been extremely prominent throughout history. I feel like there's definitely a you can make a whole essay on that. And this book, I have not read any other Quan Mills books, just this one in particular. You can kind of make an essay. Is he participating in it? Is he not participating in it? He's just, just because there is a negative depiction of a black woman, I do not think that is always misogynoir or always racism. Because black women, like any other race, can do stupid things and make stupid decisions and be awful people, okay? And Frequisha is an awful person. But before we get into her personality and characteristics and everything, what was I saying? Now I gotta remember. Yeah, the how he describes things. So when I initially started reading the book, I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't like do the thing that many black writers do, where essentially it's like dark skin bad, light skin good, dark skin bad, light skin good. So all the nice characters are gonna be light skin and all the bad characters are gonna be dark skin. He doesn't really do that. All the characters, number one, he depicts a large array of black women. For Quisha herself, I think he mentioned that she was a little on the lighter side, not super light, but I guess like light brown skin. I don't even I imagine that she looks like the woman kind of on the cover of the book, but not like dark skin, not quite medium, maybe a little like light medium or medium, I don't know, something like that. But from the jump, she's not described as like dark skin with the nappy hair and no. She's medium skin, she got her hair done, she got her nails done, and this is all important to the plot because she keeps herself made up using the money that she gets from her kids, like child support and the welfare systems and everything. And so, we're going on a bit, but how he describes other black women in the book, you'll have some, he's like, oh, they're beautifully chocolate or nice caramel, or they're sexy dark skin, or yellow boned, or this or that, or half Latina, or but it's like there's a lot of depictions of many different black women in the book. And I feel like it didn't really follow a pattern of like light good, dark bad, because you had some dark skinned women that were good and you had some light skinned women that were trash. Okay, so it was a decent array of skin tones, and same thing for the men as well. It wasn't like the whole Tyler Perry thing. Oh, I'm a light skinned man with my braids and I'm here to save you, and then one guy, I'm dark skinned and bald and I hate you and I hate Jesus. If you know that reference, it wasn't really like that. So anyway, moving in to the story, the synopsis here. All right, the synopsis, it's gonna be a long synopsis. All right, so sit down, put me on the background, start washing some dishes, eat some snacks, something. I don't know, but it's gonna be a synopsis. All right. So we start at the beginning. This is past the Roaches, the Roach introduction with Daddy Roach Sr., okay? Frequisha gets her flip-flop, her $2.99 flip-flop from Five Below, and smashes Daddy Roach Sr., and he's dead, and all his 1,000 Roach uncles and aunts and cousins and nephews and all gather around to have his funeral because this hoe got roaches in her crib, okay? Her apartment is horrible. It's a horrible mess. She got dishes in the sink. She got old food everywhere. It's nasty. And he does a really good job at describing how nasty her apartment is. It is disgusting. It's disgusting. All right. And there you meet her 3 kids. All right. You have Komani. I don't know who was the oldest, whatever. I think Kwamani is the oldest. You have Zamir, and then you have Maya. And Maya is kind of the main child of interest throughout the entire book, although Kwamani and Zamir kind of play like a smaller role, and I will get to them later. And so, you know, when I first started reading, I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe this is like the typical Cinderella story. You know, we have this, except for stepsisters, you got stepbrother, half brothers that they are to her. And, you know, for Quisha, she's a boy mom. She's one of them types of boy moms, you know. She dotes on her son. She loves her sons. You know, Kwon Mills makes it a point to mention that she uses the money that she gets from Maya, the SSI, which I don't think is Social Security income. I think it is, what is it, supplemental. I looked it up earlier because I was like, is that a thing? Supplemental security income, SSI, for children. And she gets the SSI for Maya because Maya was diagnosed with having ADHD, which is a disability. And so I guess she found some type of loophole in the system and she gets SSI. But she takes Maya's money that is supposed to be for her and raising her, taking care of the kids, and she uses it to buy. Hey, quick interjection here. A little reminder, as you see there's like some text on the screen. But the concept of the welfare queen, I kind of glaze over this a little bit, but I just want to make this clear that I am not a believer of the welfare queen. I do not think that people get on welfare, people get on food stamps, Social Security, whatever, take advantage and to get their hair done, to get nails done, to buy new Jordans, whatever. They don't do that. The vast majority of people who are on welfare need the welfare. So the whole concept of welfare queen was a racist concept made up by Ronald Reagan. I mean, the original welfare queen was a white lady anyway. But of course, it has been taken, it has been thrown into the Black community, especially Black women, to what's the word? Perpetuate discrimination, make it seem like it's okay to discriminate against people, and also provide an excuse to get rid of welfare programs. No, we should not get rid of welfare programs. And even if people are taking advantage of, I don't care, because more people are helped by these programs than harmed. So if people want to get themselves something nice every once in a while with the check they get from the government, which I help supply, I don't care, because I think people deserve to have nice things every once in a while. How can you live without having a nice thing? But this is just in the nature of the story. You know, for Quisha is like the stereotype, the ratchet person, and Kwon Mills is just trying to tell like a funny, somewhat serious, ratchet, dramatic story. Then again, like I said, this is the only book of his I've read. Now, if I notice a pattern where it's like continuously perpetuating a stereotype that poor Black people and poor Black women take advantage of this system and that system, then that's a problem. And if that is the case, if someone has read all of his books and that is a pattern, then you can let me know. But from what I know right now, it's just a story that he's telling. Yeah, so just want to put that in here. Yeah, get back to the video. Bye-bye. Buy her sons like Jordans and PlayStations and all that stuff. You know, all the ghetto stereotype, whatever. And so this is the introduction to kind of like the main family here. And for Quisha is a horrible, awful mother, especially to Maya. After she kills Daddy Roach Sr., we see her berating Maya. You know, Maya's in her room, like playing or drawing on the floor or whatever. And she walks in and she berates Maya for not cleaning up her room. Keeping in mind that the whole rest of the house is a disgusting mess, but you're gonna yell at her for not cleaning up her room, although her room is like the cleanest place in the house because Maya does not like roaches crawling on her. And so she tries to keep it clean. But Quisha just wants somebody to yell at while she smokes her blunt and puts on paternity court or whatever in the background and waits for the grandmas to come pick up the kids. So Kwamani and Zamir go with Evelyn, which is Quisha's mother, for the weekend, and then Maya is scheduled to visit Mrs. Watkins, which is the mother of the main character, the baby daddy in the book. Okay, his name is Austin. Every time I read his name, I want to call him like Anthony. I don't know. He just comes off as like an Anthony to me instead of an Austin, but his name is Austin Watkins. And Mrs. Watkins, which I forgot her first name, sorry, because she's always referred to as Mrs. Watkins in the book. But she comes to pick up Maya for the weekend because for Quisha, she knows she got a dick appointment and she want to get her weed man or whatever to come over and do all of that and, you know, hang out with her girls and get her nails done, her hair done, and all that good stuff because the check just hit. And so she wants the kids out the way so she can go and be ratchet without kids. And so she's getting them ready and, you know, she sends the boys off and then, you know, she's waiting for Mrs. Watkins. Mrs. Watkins comes in. She looks over, you know, walks into her apartment. This is the first time that she has seen Maya in, I think, years because Frequisha is trifling and she don't want Maya to have any type of access to the Watkins at all because she doesn't want them to deem her like an unfit parent and have any type of like shared custody or anything like that. She wants all the government money, all the government benefits. So she does not let Maya or the Watkins spend time with each other. Okay, so this is the first time in years. And Maya is 6 years old, by the way. Kwamani, I think they said he was like, Kwamani is 12 and then Zamir, I think is 11 or 10 years old, something like that. So Maya is 6 years old. Mrs. Watkins comes in to pick her up. She sees the state of Frequisha's apartment. It is horrible. There's roaches everywhere. She's like, what is wrong with you having roaches everywhere? And Frequisha's like, look, lady, if you keep saying stuff, you ain't gonna take Maya nowhere. So Mrs. Watkins is like, you know what? Okay, fine, whatever. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna get this child. Let's go. So she gets Maya. She looks at her. She's like, oh, you have not been eating. You're so skinny. So her and her son, Jonah is the brother of Austin. They get together, they go to Golden Corral, they go and get them, and like I said, he just put everything by name. They go to Golden Corral, they get their grub on, everything, and then she takes Maya to the burbs because Mrs. Watkins, you know, her husband died and everything, but she got that fat insurance check and she already retired and stuff, so, you know, she out living in the suburbs, living a good life, living in like the white people neighborhood and everything is nice. Ain't no gunshots or nothing. Ain't no rats, ain't no roaches. And so she take Maya out to the burbs and they just have a good fun old time because now Maya can sleep with no roaches crawling on over. That's great. That's fantastic. But also one of the main things that the reason why, you know, she came to get Maya is because Austin, her father, is currently incarcerated. All right. He's in jail. He was like a weapons dealer, got caught, illegal weapons, and now he's serving, I think it was like a 2-year sentence or something, but he's scheduled to get out. So before they get out, they're having a what is it, like a daddy daughter dance for the inmates to kind of keep them motivated, keep them happy, give them something to look forward to. And so this is one of the main reasons why Mrs. Watkins gets Maya so she can take her to the daddy daughter dance. Okay, so she got her dress that she found from Macy's, and then got her shoes, and I got her a tiara because she wants to dress like Tiana from Princess and the Frog. So she got her all dolled up to take her to the daddy daughter dance. You know, Austin, he's in jail, he's waiting and everything. He's so excited. He hasn't seen his daughter in years, and he loves his daughter. He wants to be a good dad. He's been on his best behavior because he's really trying to do better for himself so he can be there for his daughter. And you know, there's a bunch of other drama that happens in between all this, but they make their way to the daddy daughter dance. They get in a car accident, whatever. Everything's fine, but they have to go back home. Everybody's sad. But then, you know, the real nice inmates and prison social worker and everything are like, you know what, let's try to arrange something. Let's arrange for a pickup to go pick up Maya and Mrs. Watkins and take them to the dance. So you think that this dance is not happening. And I will say Quan Mills does a good job at kind of building up this tension and drama. He's very good at drama. Of like, oh, this thing is gonna happen, but then random thing happens and everybody is sad and disappointed. That happens quite a bit. But I don't know. I think it's really well done. It's very entertaining whenever it's like subverting the expectations. It doesn't go exactly how you think things are going to go, which is good. I love that about books. Or, you know, good movies, good books, good series is when it subverts your expectations in a good way, not a bad way. Not when it does something out of left field and you're like, why did they do that? You know, not in like a Game of Thrones way. All right. Nothing like that. And so they have like this very sweet moment where the police pick up Maya and Mrs. Watkins and escort them to the dance. And they have this beautiful dance, him and you know, Austin and Maya. And that's kind of I would say like the end of the first arc, so to speak. Okay. All right, so while all this is happening with Austin back at in Austin's world or whatever, for Quisha, you know, there are two dope men. They come up, you know, they come around everything because, you know, they're like, hey, you want this dope or whatever to Frequisha? She's like, yeah. He's like, what you got in return? She was like, you know, I need this good pussy. And so that's what they do. And you meet characters Deontay, which is important later, and Marvin is not important. He's just a guy. He's there for comedic effect, and he's really funny because he walks into her apartment. He was like, oh my god, you live like this? You live in roaches everywhere. Oh my god. And so he's kind of like the audience in that moment with his reaction to seeing Quisha's awful state of living. But Deontay don't care. Deontay like, hey man, you know there's roaches everywhere, but you won't care. You drink this Hennessy, and you know once you start digging on her walls, then all that stuff disappear, man. It's so good. You gotta try it. And so there is just one whole chapter that is dedicated to this like, and I don't mean nasty because it's like I'm anti, you know, anti freaky D, trying to keep it not so explicit for YouTube. I'm not, but there's like this disgusting, like he just goes into so much detail about like how, you know, it's like a very in-depth sex scene and all the detail about what Quisha doing and sucking and slobbing and da-da-da-da. And then you got the roaches watching from the ceiling like, oh my god. You get their perspective too, because you always get to know what the roach is thinking whenever you in her crib. So all that happens, and then, you know, Quisha goes on about her day. She gets like her nails and hair done, and she goes out with her ratchet friends to the club, and you know she's trying to like meet another guy so she can potentially baby trap him and get some money out of him. And this is where we find out when she's out at the club, she's drinking Hennessy, she's smoking weed, she's smoking cigarettes all this time. We found out that she's pregnant. Quisha pregnant. Oh my gosh. And honestly, the pregnancy I was like, the pregnancy is brought up like, I don't know, twice since this. Quisha makes no changes to her behavior or nothing. I guess this kind of proves how awful of a mother she is, because she's smoking and drinking and doing drugs and everything while being pregnant. All right, not great. But she's pregnant, but she's still out. She's trying to find somebody to like pin this baby on, which just comes into play later. So like pin this baby on so she can get some child support money, get a man in her pocket that always send her money so she won't take him to the government, all that, you know, all that good stuff. And so going back to the Watkins, and they had a little daddy-daughter dance. They go back home. Mrs. Watkins talks with Maya about the state of Quisha's like living situation. And she noticed that Maya never refers to Quisha as mom or mommy. She always refers to her as Quisha, because Quisha does not want her calling her mom. And so Mrs. Watkins is like, what's up with that? That's weird. And Maya is like, well, she just doesn't want me to call her mom. She wants me to call her Quisha. And so Mrs. Watkins, you know, obviously concerned. She sees the roaches everywhere. This girl is calling her Quisha. She real skinny. What's going on? So she kind of gets Maya to open up about the abuse that is happening at home. And this is where the book kind of gets kind of like dark. I mean, it was already dark, but it was like darkly comedic. But we get to like very explicit scenes of child abuse. And this is where Maya's brothers kind of come into play. So, you know, after Mrs. Watkins hears about all this, she is understandably upset. And so she files a police report, she calls Child Protective Services, and she kidnaps, for lack of a better word, Maya, which she won't, you know, Maya's scheduled to go back home at a certain time, but she decides not to take her back home because she feels that is not the right decision. And honestly, I agree with Mrs. Watkins, that is not the right decision. You know, this child is being abused. She has told you that she's being abused. You have evidence of abuse. Yeah. Why would you take her back? And this is where it gets into the whole like commentary on Child Protective Services and these bureaucracies and the legalities and how you have to go through all these hoops and you gotta prove stuff, and yeah. And this is why so many children end up getting failed by child protective services, and why they have such a negative reputation. And so after Mrs. Watkins decides she is not going to take Maya back home, we kind of cut back to Frequisha and her sons. Evelyn is dropping them back off at her house, and as she drops them back off, Frequisha's hair lady pulls up with her daughter in the car, and she tells her to get out of the car. And so, get out of the car and tell her what you told me. So tell Frequisha what you told me. And the daughter is like, I'm pregnant. And Frequisha's like, what does that got to do with me? And the daughter is like, well, your son is the father. Kwamani is the father. Keep in mind the ages of these children. Kwamani is 12 years old. He is 12 years old. Okay. And the girl is 15. So a 12-year-old got a 15-year-old girl pregnant. Hello, this is editing me here. Just to interject really quick to say that the phrasing that I used on like getting her pregnant was not the right phrasing to use. I'm interjecting this. This is like months after I recorded this video. I'm just posting it really late. But I didn't realize that I had used that phrasing initially. But no, I would like to be very clear that in this situation, Kwamani was the victim. He was the victim because he was 12 years old getting preyed upon by a 15-year-old girl. And this started back when he was 10 and she was 13. Although it's a short, just a few years apart, it doesn't matter. A lot of development happens within those few years for kids. And when you're 13 years old, you definitely know what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. So yeah, she preyed upon him, and he was a victim. He is a victim in this situation. And I want to make that very clear, and not try to seem like I'm dismissing it or making light of it or anything of that manner. This whole section, I just want to interject that here. Although my tone is like a bit chipper and I might like laugh or giggle, things like that, it's not because I find it funny. It's just a way of speaking that I have. I don't know. Also, I tend to do that when I'm like uncomfortable about something, you laugh when you're uncomfortable, but I just wanted to really quickly say yeah, this is a serious scenario. I'm not trying to make light of it, and I'm not trying to excuse the girl and her grooming of what she did to this child. So apologies for my phrasing, but I just wanted to make this very clear. Also, if you want any type of resources to look more into like chat on child abuse and things like that, of course you can go to like rain.org. It stands for the, I'm gonna have to like censor myself for the sake of the internet, which is very sad when you're trying to give resources to people, but the R word, abuse and incest national network. It's a nonprofit. They have lots of resources on defining things that have happened. If something happened to you, they have support services. They just help people. You can call, text, chat, whatever, to get support and learn how to learn what you can do to move forward if any of this, if you've been a victim if anything in this situation. So just wanted to throw that out there. And yeah. And she has been babysitting Kwamani for the past 2 years. So they met when he was 10 and she was 13. If I'm doing the math right. And so, yeah, that's pretty messed up. And so this kind of, Frequisha just launches to a rage against Kwamani. And, trigger warning here, because I'm going to describe something in the best way I can. Like, I want you to have a description of it, but at the same time, I don't want anything to be like flags, but I want people to know like what they're going into when they read the book, right? And so Frequisha forces Kwamani to take off all of his clothing as she sits and berates him. He's in his room. She makes Zamir go into a different room, and she forces him to take off all his clothes. She's berating him, and then she starts like whipping him with, I don't know if it's a belt or an extension cord or something, but she's hitting him, physically abusing him. And then he's crying, he's begging her to stop. And how like he wrote this, how Kwame wrote this, is that it wasn't played up for laughs, it wasn't played up for comedy. It was very frank, I guess is the term, and detailed and in your face, but not for like gratuitousness, if that makes any sense. And so she's doing this. I guess she decides that whipping him is not enough, so she goes to burn him with her cigarettes, because she's just in this fit of rage. So she starts burning him, and of course he's crying out for his life, and this just angers her more. So she takes a pillow and does what people do with the pillows when they want to silence someone, if you catch my drift. And Zamir, he can't stand by and like watch this happen, so he barges in the room, and she's he's like, yeah, go in the other room, blah, blah, blah. And Zamir's like, no, I'm not gonna let you delete my brother. And so he goes and he punches her in the face, and essentially saving Kwamani. And Frequisha tries to intimidate them, but it doesn't work. And then both Kwamani and Zamir just start beating the crap out of Frequisha, deservedly so. Very cathartic to see. And she is horribly abusing these children, and they just beat the crap out of her, so much so that Glenn, which is the local apartment crackhead, calls the police. And then all the police come, and not only did Mrs. Watkin make a police report earlier and a DCFS report, now this is the same day you have the police come to her apartment and with another DCFS report that she has. So the kids get taken away and left with their grandmother, and now Frequisha is completely alone. So to kind of backtrack here a little bit about Glenn. So Glenn is the maintenance man, maintenance man in quotation marks here, because he is just like the apartment crackhead. All right. The apartments are owned by Mr. Nate Garrison, and Nate Garrison is one of those people that takes advantage of Section 8 vouchers. He knows that people with Section 8 vouchers, they're desperate. They have to get somewhere, and the rent will always be paid by the government. If you don't know what Section 8 is, or voucher, it is like housing assistance. And so you get a certain amount of money that is paid towards the landlord, whoever does the Section 8. So they might pay, I don't know, they might pay, if the rent is $1,000, they might pay $800 of the apartment, and so the tenant has to pay the additional $200. It's supposed to help you out. It's one of those things, like, it's for good intention, right? For poor people to not pay so much. So the government set aside certain funds for them to access housing, so they're not out on the street. And like, I mean, Section 8 and stuff like that is very close to home for me, because I have family that lives in Section 8. Like, my mom lives, Section 8, because it's hard, and rent just goes up higher and higher and higher. And it's not that these people don't work or nothing. There's just a little tangent here of like my own family. Like, everybody in my family who uses Section 8, they all work. But the jobs that they do like government jobs, or, like they work for the Head Start program, or they work for the transportation, and these jobs do not pay a lot. Like, they might pay $12 or $13 an hour, which back in the day, that was fine. You got a good job, $12, $13 an hour, but not when rent is like $1,600. It's not good. So it's not from them not working. They work, and they work for the government, but they're making such little income, and it's kind of hard to move on to a different, just get a new job. I mean, they have pensions, they have retirements, they have good insurance, And so it's hard for someone to just give that up when you have a pension already, when you have good retirement already, when you have good insurance. And so this is all this to say is that, you know, some people on Section 8, they truly need the Section 8, but some people on Section 8, like for Quisha, take advantage of these programs, don't want to get a job, don't want to do nothing, they just want to use this and, you know, get their, pay their $200 to live in their apartment, whatever. So Nate Garrison is the crooked landlord. He owns a bunch of apartment complexes. He has his own pension because he's retired. So he's like living very cushy salary. He's traveling all the time and back and forth and everything. He has a lot of money, but he does not upkeep these apartments. He doesn't care for the upkeep, and that is how Frequisha got roaches in her crib, because he won't do anything to fix the problems, to fix the issues. So a lot of the issues that the characters face later on are because of Nate, because of this crooked landlord. And you know, he's a horrible person, but you know, we'll get into that. But he is the reason, you know, hiring crackhead Glenn off the street, he is the reason why people live in this squalor. And Quan Mills does make a bit of a commentary that it does not matter when you live in places like these, especially apartment complexes that have a lot of people. Now I will say my personal experience, family, they have lived in houses, not apartment complexes, houses that were affiliated with Section 8. So although they had some pest issues, it was never as bad as like roaches or anything like that. But yeah, Quan Mills makes a bit of a commentary that, you know, kids and people that live in these affordable housing units, because they're so poorly maintained, you know, they kind of have experience living with roaches. It's like a rite of passage to live with roaches and to to kill roaches. It's normal. is what they do. And so they don't really think of it as being something questionable or like, hey, you deserve better than this. You know, this is a lot going on. But yeah, and these people, not just people like Frequisha, but people like Nate, take advantage of these welfare systems to make themselves money. You know, oh, why should I have to upkeep it? It doesn't matter. I'm gonna get the bag anyway. People need to live here or they're gonna be on the street, so it doesn't matter. And we see this all the time with, I mean, just go to your local affordable housing place and look at that. You know, it's yeah. So Frequisha gets her kids taken away, and now she's in a panic, not because she missed her kids or nothing. No, she's in a panic because if she's found of being an unfit parent and gets her kids taken away, then she loses her money. she loses her welfare money. So that happens. She realizes that Maya has never been returned to her, but you know, she's a little upset because it's like, oh my god, my money. But then she's like, you know what? I never even liked that child. So she told Mrs. Watkins, like, hey, you just keep her. I don't even care. Until, you know, she realizes that, oh, maybe I shouldn't let her keep her because of the money. And so this kind of gets into the whole, I would call, second arc of the book. So you have the first arc, which is kind of establishing these characters, the getting the kids taken away, Frequisha, Ratchet type of arc. Austin, he's in jail. He's dealing with his own stuff, but his stuff isn't as interesting as everybody else. So you can read the book if you want to know everything about Austin, but he's in jail. So you have the whole arc. And then you got, boom, second arc. So the second arc I would call the social work DCFS arc. And I feel like this whole arc is definitely a commentary on just the failings of child protective services. So for Quisha, she's trying to like fix her life. She doesn't want to lose her source of income because she's lazy and she don't want to get no job, and she just want to take money from guys and all that good stuff. And so she's like, I know a social worker is gonna come and visit me. I gotta get my terrible, awful apartment cleaned up. So, you know, as she's trying to do this, she gets a knock on the door. It's the landlord, Nate. And he walks in, he's like, damn, man, you look like this. There roaches everywhere, oh my God. And she's like, bro, why you come in here to just berate me? What you want, man? And she was like, nah. He's like, nah, you got me all the way messed up. All these roaches and stuff everywhere. No, I'll kick you out. You got to get out of here by the end of the month, because this is tragic. I know crackhead Glenn told me there's roaches and stuff everywhere, but he didn't tell me it was like this, like that. And she's like, no, oh my God, you can't, please, like, my kids just got taken away and stuff. I can't go out on the street. I'm gonna be homeless. Where am I gonna go? And he's like, you know what? You can stay here if you give me some of that pussy. And so, you know, this is a recurring thing, because although Frequisha is horrible, all right, I don't think that justifies the essay that she will now, trigger warning, I guess, she will now continuously endure from the crooked landlord Nate. So Nate gives her an offer. I won't kick you out if you know, and so because this is coercion and she didn't really consent, this is SA. You know, although she's like, okay, you can't really consent in something like that. He's holding your home over your head. That's abuse. That's not good. That's bad. It's unethical. And so, you know, he essays her in order for her to stay in the house. And so he gives her $500. He hired the Mexicans. The Mexicans that can fix and do anything. They come over, they clean up her nasty apartment. She goes back, she's like, wow, oh my God, this you up in here? Ain't got no roaches or nothing. Because they cleaned up her apartment real nice before the social workers come and visit. But the social workers never came. And this is where we kind of get introduced to a lot of like side characters, filler characters, fluff characters. So I'm just gonna go down a list real quick of all the stuff they got going on, because honestly they're not really that important. So I made a little list here. We got Deontay, you know, what I talked about earlier is Frequisha's her dick and dope man, you know, and he do all that. And he is his main girl is Katina. You know, she a hard-working woman. She a nurse. She want to be a CRNA, you know, make that money, make that bag. And she's with Deontay. He good for nothing. Their whole story is, you know, she come home from a 12-hour shift, catch him cheating, kick him out. Well, not really kick her out. She take her kids and stuff. She had 2 kids, and she goes to her mama's house, and she's like, you know, you can stay in this apartment, because she don't tell him that the lease is expiring and he about to be homeless in a month. So she takes the kids to her mom's house. She's a nurse. She's with Deontay. Deontay is messing with Frequisha on the side. Okay, that's the little triangle there. This book's so ratchet. Okay. Then you have the social workers. All right, there's a bunch of social workers that we introduced to. None of them matter except for Miss Gonzalez. Right, Miss Gonzalez. She's a new social worker. She's a younger social worker. She's like the Afro-Latina. She's the one who mainly deals with Maya in her case. You have Mrs. McGill. She's that old head social worker. She about to retire. She don't care about nothing. She want to get out of here. She want to get the government pension because she working for the government. And all she do is talk about her sex life and getting freaky nasty and dripping Chipotle ranch on her coochie or whatever with her husband. Yes, that is a scene that happens in the book. You just gotta read the book. And so that's Mrs. McGill and Miss Gonzalez. They kind of don't like each other because, you know, you got the fresh young social worker. You gotta do things like this way by the book and the rules. Da, da, da. And you got Miss McGill. She's like, I don't give a fuck. I want to get out of here. I want to retire, get my pension, and go home, babe, and let my husband James put his finger in my whatever's, you know. That's Miss McGill. And so, yeah, and then that's the whole situation. Another character, Dontario. Dontario is Frequisha's brother. We'll get into him a little bit, but that's Dontario. I think that's really all the main characters here. All the other characters, I don't remember their names. They don't really matter that much. Anyway, we're going back. Where was I? Yeah, so the whole thing, landlord, Frequisha, they cleaned up her apartment. She's like, yay, now the social worker can come and they won't think I'm a trashy mom, bad person, whatever. And so Mrs. McGill is the ratchet social worker, the old head social worker. She is the one who is supposed to be going to the home visit with Frequisha, all right? But she ratchet and she want to go home and get her hair done and all that. So she sends one of the, like, somebody that she knows from the housing authority, not a social worker, sends them over there. They go in and look around like, oh, it's nice, it smells good up in here, everything looks fine to me. And then they leave, and that's the extent. And so because of that, they didn't say, you know, they call Mrs. Watkins and like, look, what you're doing is technically kidnapping, you gotta return Maya. Mrs. Watkins does not want to return Maya. Maya, she's freaking out. She's having like a whole panic attack and everything. She's like, please don't let me back, don't let me back. Oh my God, please don't let me back. And it's very emotional. Mrs. Watkins is like, I gotta send you back or else they're gonna take me to jail. And we can't have that happen if we want you to come live with us and get custody. Yeah, so they send the police over, and Miss Gonzalez, the young social worker, she goes and she's the one who picks up Maya, rides the police officer, takes her back to, not to Frequisha's place, but to Evelyn, Frequisha's mother's place. Because of the incident with Kwamani and Zamir, Frequisha cannot have access to any of her children at the moment until the investigation is done. So Ms. Gonzalez, she take the kids to Evelyn. They go in there, and Ms. Gonzalez is not stupid. You know, she see Evelyn place. It's awful. It's not as bad as Frequisha's, but it's pretty bad. You got roaches and stuff everywhere. It's messy. It's dirty. There's not a lot of space. But nevertheless, she gotta take her back there because that's what you gotta do legally. It's like you can see that these kids are living in an awful environment, but there's really nothing you can do because you have to jump through all these bajillion hoops in order to actually do what's best for the child. And Miss Gonzalez can see that Mrs. Watkins and the whole Watkins family obviously loves Maya, and she lives in a good environment. She has her own bedroom, ain't no roaches up in her house. She's a nice house in the burbs with all the white people. And so you can see that, oh, this environment is conducive to like a healthy upbringing for a child. But legally speaking, her mother got full custody, so you have to abide by the laws that were set in place. So she takes her back to Evelyn, and she, you know, just knows in her heart that this is not the right thing to do, but she does it. She gives Maya a bit of advice, like, if anybody hurts you, if anybody hits you, if anybody does anything, call 911, tell me, tell the other social worker, tell your teachers, tell somebody. Maya's like, okay. So she sends her in, and Evelyn, Frequisha's mom, who is just as trifling as Frequisha, by the way, she an old hoe. An old wise hoe. And you know, she just being nice to Maya. She's buttering up to Maya. You want some pizza? You want some ice cream? You want some candy? Tell me about the things your mama tells you. You know, and Maya, she kind of lets her guard down. Oh, mommy tells me all types of things. She calls me a hoe and a slut and da-da-da-da. And Evelyn's like, oh my God, that's awful. That's horrible. But she's only doing this because she wants to throw Frequisha under the bus in order to get custody of Maya so she can get her social security check, because she was given another Section 8 voucher to move into some nicer apartments, but she can't do it unless she has a little bit more income. She don't want to get no job, so she wants to get Maya to move in with her. But anyway, so later on that day, after Maya finishes up her food, they go to bed and everything. And keep in mind, Evelyn still, you know, she got roaches in her crib too. So they go to lay down. The roaches crawl on Maya and everything. She ain't got no pizza on her, so they get mad. And one roach bites her on the face, and so she wakes up and she's like, "Grandma, the roach bit me." And Grandma like, "Girl, ain't no roach bit your face. Roaches don't bite people. Get on up here and go to bed or whatever." So Maya gets back in the bed. with the lady, and all seems well until the next morning. She wakes up and she's getting ready for school, but Maya doesn't feel well. You know, she's throwing up, she gets real dizzy, and she passes out. And so they take her to the hospital, and this is the start of Act 3, or what I would call the medical arc. All right, so this is the last arc of the book. Maya passes out, throws up, passes out, and everything, and they go to the hospital, and turns out Maya has been diagnosed with bacterial meningitis. And I think that is the worst meningitis. I mean, all meningitis is bad, you know. It's the inflammation of the meninges, which is that little outer sheath layering of the brain. So extremely deadly. But yeah, so sorry, I had to look this up to be sure. But most of the time too, children are vaccinated against meningitis, a meningococcal vaccine, which kind of backs up that Frequisha is an awful parent that probably has not taken her kids to get any type of vaccines, to get any type of medical appointment, medical checkup, or anything. But bacterial meningitis is extremely life-threatening. It is a medical emergency, and people can get it and die within a matter of hours. It's rapid onset. So you know, it's a sort of realistic depiction here of bacterial meningitis. Although getting it from a roach, that I don't know if you can get that from a roach. But she's been diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, and it's not looking good. You know, she's a small, malnourished child that has lived in filth for almost all of her life. Okay, it's not great. And so with this, you have, you know, Evelyn calls for Frequisha. Frequisha is continuously getting essayed by the awful landlord. She stops, or, you know, finds a time to make her way to the hospital. She goes with Deontay, her brother. Deontay helps Maya, gives her CPR and everything until they can get to the hospital. So they got to the hospital, and Deontay seems to be like the only normal person within Frequisha's immediate family that is not terrible. But if you notice, I haven't really mentioned Austin a whole lot. It's because he's been in jail most of this time. Bro got like shot and everything. There's a whole thing, whole drama with Austin. He got shot, so he's in a jail hospital. But you know, eventually Mrs. Watkins, Jonah, and Austin get notified that Maya is in the hospital and potentially dying. So they all kind of make their way there. Austin does get to be released early from jail because of extenuating circumstances, and also he was about to get out anyway. So they were like, hey, you just go ahead and go. And so they go to the hospital. Obviously, they're fighting with each other. They're blaming each other. You did this, you did this. And the doctors confirm that she got it from the roach bite. Not just one roach bite, multiple roach bites. Maya has been eaten repeatedly by roaches. Hence, because this hoe got roaches in her crib, and the roaches in her crib contributed to this child's extreme life-threatening emergency. It's like a Tyler Perry movie. They're doing the whole thing. We just gotta pray. We just gotta pray. It's not that I'm like anti-prayer or nothing. I'm not. I believe in the power of prayer, but you know, they're doing all the praying and everything. God, please, God, please spare my child. You know what God said?
Fuck them kids. Fuck the kids? Yeah.
Maya dies. Maya dies. Yeah. Yeah, I bet that wasn't the ending you were expecting. Bet after hearing all of this, that was not the ending you were expecting. But that is what happened. All her family, they're fighting over if they should pull the plug or not, if they should keep her alive for the welfare. Like, just horrible things. And in the end, Maya dies. Yeah. So the last like bit of the of the book. I feel like it was a little rushed, and I think Quan Mills needed, like, I don't know, maybe 50 more pages or something. But it felt like like he could have, this is my a bit of a critique, he could have like elaborated on some things a little more, not had it be so rushed, because it got to a point at the end of the book after her death where it was like, a week later this happens, a week later this happens, 3 months later this happened, you know, it like for in quick succession that happened, like in one page, next page is like, oh, another week later, next page is like, oh, another week later. And there are, I think, 52 chapters in the book, but some chapters are only like 2 pages long. Some chapters are really, really short, and then some chapters are long. So the chapters kind of vary in consistency, but yeah. So they have her funeral. The Watkins agree to pay for her funeral, because obviously Frequisha and her ratchet ass family aren't going to pay for the funeral because they only wanted this child for the money anyway. And Austin has just lost all hope, because Maya was his hope. She was his reason to keep going and to try to be the best person that he can. But now she's gone and she's dead. And all he has in his heart is anger for Frequisha, because this happened because of roaches, those dang roaches in this hole's crib. killed this child. And so he's just kind of set on revenge. You know, I think the book probably should have ended here, but a couple months go by. Austin is still heartbroken, and he's like, you know, I'm gonna kill this hoe. I'm gonna kill this hoe. She got it coming. And so he drives to her apartment. You know, he got the blicky, he got the black outfit and everything. He drives to her apartment, but when he gets there, he notices another car pull up, and 2 guys get out the car, and they go into the apartment. But before that, one guy looks at him. And they tell Austin, like, you better get on, brother. You better skedaddle. And Austin like, say less. So he get back in his car, he leave. But he doesn't go all the way, you know, leave. He goes kind of down the block where he can still be hidden, but still kind of see like what's happening. And so as he's listening, he hears shots ring out, ba ba ba, and he hears screaming, ah! And another ba ba ba, and more screaming. And he recognizes that the screaming is Frequisha's voice. Frequisha and Deontay. Remember Deontay? Remember Deontay had dope man? Got cat. Who did they get cat by? Glenn the crackhead. Glenn the crackhead told these dudes. These dudes are very distant relation to Katina. Remember Katina? Deontay's main girl and the nurse, right? Katina was the nurse that helped Maya when she was in the hospital dying. But when she went back home to her mom and everything to come back in for next shift, she got cat. She got cat by this girl named Tisha that you meet in, like, I don't know, randomly in one chapter. Tisha was obsessed with Deontay and wanted to be with Deontay, but he said, nah, 'cause I got my main girl, Katina. And Tisha's like, okay, I'll take her out. So Tisha decided to try to take her out, but she failed. You know, she missed like major organs, whatever, and Katina lived. But everybody knew that Deontay and Katina had a very, you know, rough relationship. And Deontay had brandished a weapon to Katina before. And Katina told her mama. And Katina's mama, I think, is either a distant relative or a friend to Mrs. Watkins. Okay? Okay? Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Katina's mama knows Mrs. Watkins and knows that Deontay made threats against Katina's life. So she instantly assumed that it was Deontay that shot Katina after she was taking care of Maya. Alrighty. Alrighty. This is all over the place. And so the lady got her contacts from, you know, her gang banging family members. So, oh, I can't believe they tried to take out Katina. Yeah, it was Deontay. So they like, we gonna do what we gotta do. And Glenn is like a distant cousin to Mrs. Watkins, tells the dudes where Frequisha's apartment's at because he nosy and he even like it like that. So these dudes go in and they're originally there for Deontay, but they end up killing Frequisha in the process. And so Austin, he ain't gotta do nothing. So he heard all this happen. He was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna peace out. And he left. And he left. That should have been the end of the book. That should have been in the end. I thought it was like a decent conclusion. It wasn't really a happy ending. It was like a bittersweet ending. It was like, yeah, Maya died and that girl did not deserve that. But you know what? Frequisha died. Yes. See ya. Happy to get her out of here. Did she deserve the essay? No. But she killed her child inadvertently, and then she gonna talk about, oh, I want to be a better mother to you. I promise you I'll be the best mommy ever. Just please pull through my Maya, please. I'll be the best mommy ever. No. And that one thing the landlord, the Korean landlord Nate did say, he was like, all you hoes is the same. Y'all are so awful. Y'all are horrible mothers. Y'all got y'all kid living in squalor and filth. And then when something happened to them, y'all always promise that y'all gonna be better. That y'all gonna be a better mom. Y'all couldn't do that at first. Now he a bad guy, but you know, broken clock. Broken clock and all that. That applies here. The book kept going for a little bit that Austin, he didn't kill Frequisha. He went back home. He applied to the bachelor's program, University of Chicago. He gonna be a engineer, architecture, construction, something like that. He gonna be doing all of that. He meet this girl. They getting some Chick-fil-A, and she end up dropping her Chick-fil-A on the ground. He like, don't worry, girl, I'll get you some more Chick-fil-A. And who is it? It's Katina. Katina in her CRNA program, Yas Queen. And they meet. They hit it off. But oh my god, how long is this video? This is an hour long. I've been talking for a whole hour, girl. Oh my god. I hope you got them dishes done. I hope you got the laundry folded. You had enough to do all that with how long I've been talking.
Yeah, so he meet Katina. They hit it off, but then he served some papers from Evelyn, Frequisha's mother. What could it be? Evelyn had sued the hospital for botching Maya's surgery and has been rewarded $10 million. But they said that they had to split it with the paternal father. And so she contested that Austin is not the father of Maya. He's not the father. Oh my god. And so he goes to court. And they do a paternity test because they still got some of Maya's blood that they were using for experimentation. I'm not making that up. That's in the book. And turns out, y'all, Austin is not the father. Austin is not
the father. He's not the father. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that noise you made? Yeah. But that's what I said too. So he is not the father. And the Evelyn's family and they're like, yay, we get the 10 million. But then the judge is like, oh wait. All this extra is real life fan fiction, fam. But wait, you guys are celebrating money instead of the grief that's mad is going through after learning this news. I cannot in good conscience give you this money because I'm going to circumvent the law based on my feelings right now. And I am going to award Austin, who is not related to Maya, $10 million. I gave her $10 million. Yeah. So now Austin is a millionaire. And guess what? He goes and he visits his daughter's grave with Katina, who was 5 months pregnant. 5 months pregnant. They just met a year ago, by the way. But apparently after 93 days, Austin decided to put a ring on it. So now they're married. Him and Katina are married, and she's 5 months pregnant. And he's also a millionaire. And that's how the book ends. Austin got that. I kind of skipped a part too with the whole Miss Gonzalez and Mrs. McGill. They kind of got into it a little bit, how Miss Gonzalez, like, you're a bad social worker, you just don't care about these kids, and that's why they ended up like this. Because if you would have done something earlier, if you would have followed proper protocol, then this probably would have never happened to Maya. So Miss Gonzalez goes and she testifies at the hearing with the $1 million lawsuit thing, and testifies that Evelyn did play a hand in Maya's death because of her roaches and everything. So that's kind of where the social workers come in at. But yeah, that's the end of the book. I've been talking for like a whole hour. I did not realize that it would be that much, but I mean, hopefully you enjoyed the synopsis and you can kind of piece together a little bit of what Quan Mills was trying to say and trying to commentate on when it came to the failures of the system, the failures of the crooked landlord, and how while other people, while Frequisha gets an inspection from DCFS, the landlord doesn't get an inspection from the housing authority. And Quan Mills does mention that Frequisha could call the housing authority, but a lot of these people don't ever challenge these norms because they don't have any type of knowledge on how this works, and they don't have any type of money or authority in order to properly challenge someone as crooked and as rich with as much connections and stuff as the landlord. So they get away with these things, and they get away with letting these people live in filth and squalor, which contributes to the detriment of the health of the children that live in these places. That energy switch up from the beginning of the video to the end of the video should be very obvious. But if you stuck around for this long, hey, I appreciate it. Tell me your thoughts about what you just heard. Or if you read the book, tell me your thoughts about the book in the comment section below. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this video, throughout this long ass unscripted thoughts thrown at a wall video. And now I feel like I'm lightheaded because I have been talking so fast and so much non-stop that, girl, I'm over here, not enough oxygen going to my brain right now. So I'm gonna pass out. Anyways, I have other videos on the channel if you want to check those out. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. And yeah, I will see you when I see you next time. Bye bye.